Hello. Last time we looked at adding real numbers. Today we'll look at subtracting real numbers. Let's start with a quick remembering. So let's recall adding. Seems simple enough. If I had something like 1 plus 2, we would say, okay, well that's really simple, but we'll say here's a number line. I start at 0, go to 1, 2, let's add a little bit to that, 3, 4, and of course this number line could continue forever. If I take 1, I'll start at 0, and I draw a 1, right? 1 will get me right here. And then if I add 2 to that, I'm just going to take 2. I would start where I left off with the 1, and I would add 2. So I'd go to the right, 1, 2. And that lands me at my answer, which is 3, which we know, of course. Okay, so we're going to use this method to look at subtracting real numbers. Alright, so let's take a look at 2 and 1/4 minus 4. These are both real numbers. They're also rational numbers because I can write this as a fraction, and 4 is an integer, but they're both real numbers, right? So we can represent this on a number line in the same way we did addition. I can take the 2 and 1/4, so I'll put that in yellow. I can go 2, 1, 2, right? We used to do it with a 1, 2, and a quarter, right? So we would end up right here. Then I'm going to subtract 4. I'll do that in pink. All right, so I'm going to subtract 4 units. So I'll start at 2 1/4, and I'll subtract 4. So I almost get to 1. Right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've subtracted 4 and ended up right about here, which just visually I know we're in quarters, so I know my answer is negative, right? I'm at -1, -1 and 3/4. That's what 2 1/4 minus 4 is equal to. If I put 2 1/4 on a number line, let's do that again. Oops, didn't straighten out, but that's all right. So 0, 1, 2, 3, here's -1, and -2. Of course, the number line, we can make it as long as we would like. It goes on forever. So let's put that 2 1/4 back on here. Sorry, I have to start at 0. 0, 1, 2 1/4. All right, let's remember that the absolute value of 2 1/4 is equal to 2 1/4, and it is the distance from 0. That's what absolute value is, really. It's the distance from 0. So there, for 2 1/4, the distance from 0 is 2 1/4. Now let's draw -4. Well, if I draw -4, here's 0, 1, 2, and -4, 1, 2. I need to come out a little bit farther, don't I? Let me erase that. 1, 2, -3, -4, -4. Right? So -4 is sitting here in pink. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's -4. I would go to the left for -4. And remember that the absolute value of negative 4 is equal to 4. Its distance from 0 is negative 4. I'm sorry, its distance from 0 is 4 units. So negative 4 has a distance from 0 of 4 units. Alright, I've redrawn what we did on the previous page. Here's our 2 1/4. Here's minus 4. Right. What we're going to do now is add these two numbers. So here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4 on our number line, which of course goes forever. And we'll take the 2 1/4, 1, 2 1/4, and to that I'm going to add negative 4. So I'm going to start right here where I left off, right? I'm going to add a negative 4. So this pink line on the second number line, I'm going to add here 1, 2, 3, 4. And I end up right here where I ended up before, which was negative 1 and 3/4. So we can see that 2 1/4 minus 4 is the same thing as 2 1/4 plus a negative 4. So subtraction can be changed into addition by adding the opposite of this number. All right. So to subtract, add the opposite of the number. Great. So if I have 3 minus 4, that's going to equal 3 plus the opposite of 4 is negative 4. If I have 3 minus, say, I'm going to put in parentheses for, this looks odd if I have two negatives. If I have 3 minus a minus 5, well, I'm going to change this to a positive, so I have 3 plus. The opposite of negative 5 is 5. So 3, if I subtract a negative 5, I get 3 plus 5. So we always add the opposite of the number, and the number we're talking about is this one and this one. I'm going to take the opposite of that and add. So I'm changing this subtraction into an addition. This subtraction into an addition. Notice I haven't done anything with the first number. All right, so let's do an example. By the way, let me know if you enjoy the black background with a white, more like a chalkboard. This is a little different than I've done before, so if it's helpful or you like this look, please let me know. Alright, so let's take this example. 8 minus 2 plus 5 minus 13. Now, I see four numbers. I see 8, I see a negative 2, I see a 5 or a plus 5, right? There's really a plus in front of this 8. We tend not to put it there, right? But it's really there. And a negative 3. So I see four numbers here. And because I have 8 minus 2, I can change that minus 2 instead of subtracting 2, I can add the opposite of this number. Plus 5 plus a minus 13. So what I did, rather than saying, well, here's my number 2, and I'm going to add the opposite, what I did, the way I look at these, is I just have all my numbers, I take them sign and all, and I say, okay, I'm going to add them all, each one of these. So I tend to look at the entire number and say, well, I'm going to add that negative 13. So 8 plus a minus 2 is how much? 6, right? And you can think about the number line if you'd like. You can say, okay, here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I come back to 1, 2, and I'm here at 6. All right. Then I'm going to write this out so that you get used to the order of operations. Then I do 6 plus 5, which is 11, plus a minus 13. And the reason I'm doing this one at a time is addition is done left to right. So now 11 plus a minus 13 is minus 2. Good. One more example, this time using variables. 5a minus 7b minus 13a minus 4b. All right, I'm subtracting, so I want to change all of these to addition. And I look at this and I say, well, how many terms are there? Here's one, 5a. Here's another term, minus 7b. Here's another term, minus 13a, and a minus 4b. So one way of looking at this is to say, well, I have these 4 numbers and variables, 4 expressions, if you will, and I'm going to change this into addition by adding each one of these. I'm going to add the minus 7b, I'm going to add the minus 13a, and I'm going to add the minus 4b. Then I can say, well, I have some like terms. Here's like terms have the same variable factors, right? So the variable is a, this one has a variable of a, and this one has a variable of a. So I can add these 2 terms, and I get 5 minus 13, or 5 plus a minus 13, times a. Right, and then I'm going to add the next piece, which is going to be, well, I've got a b and a b, right? Same variable factors. So now I've got minus 7 plus a minus 4, b. So 5 minus 13 is negative 8, a, plus minus 7 minus 4 is minus 11, b. Now we could leave it this way, showing addition, or I could change this back to subtraction and say this is minus 8a minus 11b. There's my answer. Let's take one more look at this. Another way to look at this is say I'm subtracting this number, so I'm going to add its opposite, minus 7. I'm going to add the opposite of 13a. I'm going to add the opposite of 4b. And you'll see I end up with the same setup as I did before. Also, you can really tell, I hope you can see clearly that there are 4 terms. Terms are expressions separated by addition. So there are 4 terms. Good.